Previously on the Proxy market. Hollow work revealed how much of the city's comfort was built on people trained not to feel their own cost. Now Mara reaches the place where remorse is stored, priced, and reassigned before it can become resistance. Episode 13. The Remorse Room. The laundry service lift was not built for 4 people, a stolen contract, and a moral crisis. It complained the entire way down. Mara stood with her back against one wall, Nico pressed against her side, Oren clutching page 3 of Varick's agreement like it might bite him if he loosened his grip. Ren had not come with them. He had stayed at the corridor door, one hand on the frame, and said, "Lower forum service, 2 turns left. Do not use the blue-marked stair." "Why?" "It reports feet." "Of course it does." Then he had closed the door and left them with a lift that smelled of detergent, hot metal, and old civic secrets. Nico's hand was cold in hers. "I can walk," he said. "I know. You are holding my hand like I am 6. You were easier at 6. I ate paste at 6. Quietly, with commitment." He made a sound that wanted to be a laugh and did not have enough air. That was fine. Mara did not need laughter. She needed him breathing, thinking, and stubborn enough to remain inconvenient. The lift shuddered to a stop. Oren looked at the door. "If this opens onto a guard room, I would like to apologize in advance for being less useful than everyone hoped." "No," Mara said. He blinked. "No apologies unless you do something new." The door slid open. Not a guard room. Worse. White light. Clean floor. 6 contract chairs in 2 rows, each surrounded by blue lines embedded in the tile. Brass arms, wrist rests, head seals. A low glass wall separated the room from a larger chamber beyond, where more chairs waited in circles under a ceiling of dark cables. Above that, through metal grating, Mara heard the muffled stir of the Renewal forum. Footsteps, amplified greetings, chairs scraping, the city arriving to vote on its own absolution. The sign over the first room read, "Stability Preparation Suite." Mara hated every word. At the far side, Tamsin Holt stood beside a wheeled ward cart, with both hands on the rail and murder in her posture. "You took your time," Tamsin said. "We stopped for a contract offer and family growth." "Was it useful?" "Unclear. Painful. That describes most growth." Breck stood behind the cart, pale and wet, holding a bundle of folded slips against his chest. "I followed badly and loudly, as instructed by destiny." "You were instructed not to get caught," Mara said. "I have interpreted that generously." Nico stared at the room. His fingers tightened around Mara's. On the nearest chair lay Pell Ardent, not asleep, not awake enough. His eyes moved beneath half-lids. A blue seal at his throat pulsed in exact time with the line around the chair. Beside him, Joss from the teeth ward lay curled on a chair too large for his body, lips moving without sound. His tiny boots had been placed beneath the footrest, neat and wrong. Mara's anger found a cleaner shape. She went to Pell first because he was closest, and because she had already failed to get him out of one clean room. "Pell!" His eyelids dragged open. For a moment, nothing in him recognized anything. Then his gaze found Mara and tried to focus. "Banquet?" he whispered. "Still over. Good." His mouth twitched. Hated the soup. It was a terrible joke. Mara loved him for making it. Nico leaned over the chair, careful not to cross the blue line. "Can you move?" Pell looked at him. "Who are you?" "Nico." Something changed in Pell's face. Memory arrived out of order. "Learning boy." Nico went still. "You saw my name?" "List." Pell's throat worked. "Don't sit down." Mara touched the edge of the chair, not the seal. The brass was warm. "We are getting you out." Pell's eyes slid toward the main chamber. "Out is not out if the line stays open." That was the kind of sentence a man should not have to learn by being used. Tamsin moved to Joss with a small kit already open in one hand. Joss heard the forum through the transfer line before I could cut the ward receipt. He started apologizing whenever the crowd applauded. Apologizing for what? Tamsin looked up. Mara regretted asking before Tamsin answered. For making them uncomfortable. Nico made a sound like he had been hit. Joss's lips moved again. Mara crouched as close as the blue line allowed. Joss. His eyes opened. They were unfocused, too bright. I'm sorry, he whispered. You do not owe me that. I'm sorry. Who told you to say it? His small brow tightened. For a second she saw the child under the borrowed apology try to find himself. The room, he said. Then the seal at his wrist pulsed, and his face went slack again. Then had gone to the wall, reading labels with the expression of a man watching his own old handwriting appear on a knife. These chairs are not receivers, he said. Breck looked at him. That sounds like bad news wearing a scholar's hat. They are stabilizers. The transfer does not end with them, it passes through them. To where? The Ben pointed upward. I'm gorn. The city. Mara looked at the ceiling grate again. Applause rolled faintly above them, polite as rain on a coffin lid. How many? She asked. Tamsin's mouth was flat. 6 from the ward transfer, more from dormitory row already inside the main chamber. Categories? Sleep stable, appetite stable, dental stacked, learning adjacent, residue tolerant. Breck swallowed. That last one is you, unless we remain optimistic in a medically irresponsible way. The black docket warmed in Mara's coat. Demonstration intake active. Nico looked at the chairs. They are anchors. Everyone turned to him. He went red. The sample lesson, contract balance. If the city is the claimant class, the engine needs stable cost points, people who already carried categories cleanly. Tamsin's eyes sharpened. Stable enough to route through. And if one fails, Nico said, looking at Joss's boots, the engine looks for another path. Oren opened Varick's page 3 on the ward cart. His hands shook. Supervised demonstration review, he read. Future category cooperation, safety assessment. Mara looked at the empty 7th chair near the back wall. It had no nameplate. It did not need one. Breck had gone quiet, which was how Mara knew the room had frightened him past performance. He unfolded the slips he had carried from the ward. These are not just transfer receipts, he said. They are timing marks. Tamsin glanced over while loosening a panel below Joss's wrist seal. Read them. Breck read with a broker's speed, each word uglier because he understood the rates behind it. Anchor wakefulness check, appetite completion check, dental discomfort trace, learning adjacent trace, residue tolerance reserve. He swallowed. Public empathy stabilizer. Nico looked toward the main chamber. That is Sella. Mara turned sharply. You know that name? Everybody at the Learning House knows Sella Rowe. They put her picture on sponsor notices. No child should inherit a burden alone. And now? Nico's eyes stayed on the glass. Now she is the picture they can use while it happens. The room gave no answer. It did not need to. It had printed one in blue light. Oren set Varick's page beside the certified provenance strip. The chairs create a proof of care. The forum hears Varick. The claimant class feels relief. The anchors carry the unresolved cost. The witness confirms the disclosure was corrected. And obedience residue? Distributed downward, Oren said, into the anchors, possibly into the witness if the witness is compatible. Mara looked at the 7th chair again. Compatible. Family line. RCAL Demonstration Reserve. The room had not been waiting for a volunteer. It had been waiting for the story to push her into looking like one. The main chamber beyond the glass brightened. A projection appeared over the circular floor. Civic Renewal Demonstration. Collective Remorse Relief. Below it, Public Claimant Class, Marrow Citizenry. Proxy Stability Anchors, prepared. Corrective Witness, pending. Corrective Witness, Mara said. Breck made a small noise. I vote we do not explore that phrase. It is me. Tamsin looked at her. Not if I break enough equipment. Can you? Tamsin looked at the chairs, the seals, the lines in the floor, the cables overhead, and the forum above them. Not enough. That was the honest answer. Mara appreciated it and hated it. Oren moved to the wall console. It was older than the polished room around it, a foundry panel hidden under Civic Renewal casing. The demonstration is layered. The public sees a consented sample of remorse relief. The engine routes claimant unease through anchor proxies. The witness testifies that the evidence was incomplete. The vote ratifies the account after the transfer begins. And the city feels better, Nico said. Oren nodded once. Nico's face changed in a way Mara had never wanted to see. Childhood pulling itself smaller to make room for understanding. They will feel less guilty about voting yes, he said. Yes, Oren said. Because someone else is carrying the part that would make them stop. The room seemed to lean toward that sentence. Joss whispered from the chair. I'm sorry. Not his voice. Tamsin moved so fast the ward cart rattled. She put one hand on his shoulder and one on the seal at his wrist, not touching the blue line. Joss, stay with me. I'm sorry, he said again, smaller. Mara looked at the main chamber. There were more chairs inside than she had counted at first. 12, 15, maybe 20. Some held adults, some held shapes under blankets. A few were empty, waiting with clean straps open. One chair near the center had a gold reserve tag. Child claimant anchor. Mara's breath stopped. No, Tamsin said. Not denial, recognition. She moved toward the glass wall. Mara followed. Inside the main chamber, a small girl sat upright in the gold-tagged chair. Not lying down like Pell, not sedated like Joss. Sitting. Her feet did not reach the floor. Her shoes were black, polished badly by someone trying to make poverty look formal. Chelarow. Mara knew the name from the old planning files, from the claimant notes, from the kind of city story people told as if inherited debt were a weather problem. Sella was not a proxy. She was a child claimant, a debt line symbol, a face for public mercy. The market had praised itself for protecting children like her. Now she sat under a head seal with two white-cuffed attendants adjusting the chair arms. Nico whispered, She is younger than me. Yes. She is not a proxy. No. The projection updated. Public empathy stabilizer. Mara read the phrase until it became nonsense and then became worse. Breck was shaking his head. They cannot run claimant empathy through a child. Oren's voice was dead. They can if they call it protective representation. Tamsin gripped the glass rail. I can get Joss unsealed if you give me 4 minutes. We do not have 4, Breck said. Then steal me some. Mara looked for doors. One into the main chamber. 2 service panels, 1 overhead ladder. The glass wall had a lock plate with 3 seals: medical, witness, authority. Nico was staring at the panel. If we open it wrong, he said, replacement selection triggers. How do you know? It is the same balance problem. If one anchor drops before the claimant field stabilizes, the engine looks for the nearest eligible reserve. Mara looked at the empty 7th chair again. The black docket printed against her ribs. Residue-tolerant reserve, available. Me, she said. Nico looked at her, horror opening across his face. Tamsin said, We are not using you as a plug. No. Mara watched Sella Rowe lift her chin while an attendant lowered the head seal. The girl was trying not to cry. That, more than anything, broke the room down to one clear fact. They could not rescue one child quietly and leave the machine intact. If they pulled Sella out and the engine grabbed Mara, Varric could still call it witness cooperation. If they pulled Joss and Pell, the room would fill the empty lines from somewhere else. Nico, Mara, another child, another proxy with a clean stamp and no time to object. Exposure, not rescue alone. The thought hurt because rescue was simpler. Rescue let the body move. Exposure required letting danger stay visible long enough to be undeniable. Mara turned to Oren. "Can the certified provenance strip talk to that panel?" Oren stared at her. "It can authenticate old buyer identity." "Can it force the room to show original labels?" "Maybe." "Not enough answer." "Yes, if the panel is foundry beneath the casing." Tamsin looked from Joss to Sella. "I need the room open." "You will get it," Mara said, "but not quietly." The forum above them erupted in polite applause. Varric's voice came through the speakers, warm and clear. "Citizens of Marrow, today we demonstrate not escape from responsibility, but responsible care for burdens too large for any one person to carry alone." The blue lines around every chair brightened. Sella Rowe's small hands clenched on the chair arms. Nico stepped closer to Mara. "What do we do?" Mara took the certified provenance strip from her coat. Old paper, smoke, and ledger ink, a name the city could not improve. "We make the room tell the truth before it starts." The black docket printed one final line. "Witness position open." Then the empty seventh chair unlocked.